Well, hello everybody. Once again, this is Dr. Novak. I think I have a good video for you today. I have two people that have asked me questions, so I'm going to get into answering their questions for you. And the pictures you're going to be looking at are of a aquarium built. It's a 45-gallon corner aquarium. And every picture you look at is going to take you step by step how Todd made his aquarium. So, I mean, it's going to be step by step. You should have no problems if you're watching this video to see exactly how he did it. I'm going to be redoing my goldfish aquarium because of the sand and everything. That I'm going to be redoing. And I'm thinking that I may use something different than the black grate that you're looking at. I may even do it out of something simpler for those people who are out there and they don't want to go through the expense of buying an under gravel or black, and they may want to make an under gravel. Well, go to your local hardware store. You can buy half-inch PVC, or you can buy PVC off the internet of just about any color you want, black, red, green, blue, whatever you want. And so I think I may do that just as a little project to show people that if you do decide to build something like that, what problems you may run into to make sure that the substrate does not block your PVC piping. I may do that just to show people how easy it is. That PVC piping, it's just a matter of buying PVC at any hardware store, right, and drilling some very small holes in it, and that's it. And then making sure you put something over it so no gravel or anything's going to get into the holes, and boom, you got yourself a nice little plenum there. Very easy, inexpensive, quick. Well, it's not going to cost you more than a few bucks for the PVC and a little bit of work. Don't even need any glue. Anyhow, I'll get into that and do a video of that when it's time, when weather cools down for my goldfish aquarium. I'll get into that. But right now I'm going to get into the Q&A of Todd and a guy named Parker. Now, I'll get into Parker's question first. It says, when would you advise adding fish to an aquarium in the process of developing an anoxic bacteria? I'm currently 45 days into cycling my 75-gallon tank, and I'm dosing approximately 4 parts per million of ammonia per day that is being reduced to 0 parts per million over 24 hours. However, my nitrates continue to hover in the 40 to 80 parts per million range. Should I wait to add fish until the anoxic bacteria begin to establish and the nitrates come down? You add fish right away to your 40-gallon breeder, but would you have done the same thing had the substrate not been preceded? And the answer to Parker's question is absolutely. I'm going to tell you, for people who are doing what Parker's doing, you know, technology has come a long way, some of the technology. And I know there's a product out there, Fritzine 7, or you can get API, these starters. Now, you can get these on Amazon. Fritzine 7 is live nitrifying bacteria, as they claim in there, but nitrifying bacteria can be heterotrophic bacteria, not nitrosomatis or nitrobacteria, as we know. But most of these are heterotrophic bacteria that multiply very quickly in these bottles. In fact, I remember they've been around for over 30 years that when helped with stores starting, you know, like a store did a modification, they had to take all their tanks down, they got a whole new filtration system. In order not to cause shock to all their animals, guess what they use? Fritzine 7. I've seen this several times of stores having to use this product to re-inoculate all their tanks and make sure they wouldn't crash because they had to stay in business. They can't wait 45 days or 50 days or whatever for all the bacteria to regrow again because they made a new filtration system. So I would highly recommend API or Fritzine 7. Here's what I do, and this is what I did so I can add fish immediately, is when you set up your tank, and let's say, I'm going to tell you what I did, the F-zone filter, I put a BCB bag in it, and I literally poured either API or Fritzine 7 right on, as it's in the canister, right on the bag, so it would soak in there. All right, pretty simple. Then you put your canister filter all together and hook it up to your aquarium. Then I took the rest of it and dumped it in the tank. And everything was all set up. And then I ran the Plenum at a fast rate. So it would suck down the water that is in the aquarium itself through the substrate to get that bottle that I put in there to seed the aquarium. Now a bottle of this is like $9, so big deal. That's not a cost that's going to break anybody. It's one cappuccino at the Starbucks. So what? Within 24 hours, you could put fish in. Okay? Because this bacteria, heterotrophic bacteria, is going to multiply very quickly. No, don't overstock it, but you could start putting fish in and enjoying your aquarium. Put your plants in, stuff like that. That's how I started all my aquariums. And I've done that now for like over 30 years, where I've helped even fish stores start their aquariums the same way. So I'm telling Parker, you're waiting all this time, just go on Amazon, buy yourself an API or Fritzine, and just pour it into your aquarium. Okay? And you can start enjoying your aquarium with fish. You don't have to wait 45 days or 60 days. Start enjoying your tank right away. This will help speed up any kind of nitrogen cycle, or because this is heterotrophic bacteria. Usually if you want live bacteria like nitrosomatis or nitrosporia, you're going to have to get that from a lab. That it will help. Okay, so let's get on to Todd's aquarium here, his 45-gallon. The pictures you have been looking at as I've been talking. And he goes through step of how he built it. He even shows you underneath the aquarium, where I think he uses Biozyme or a product like that. Oh, Biohome Ultimate. And he puts some of this Biohome Ultimate underneath the grid, the black grid, to act as an additive, so bacteria will grow on that and create anoxic conditions. Anyhow, which is great. Remember I told you about that. A fella in New York told me about that. Hey, why not utilize some of that space and put something down in there? And say, yeah, that's a good idea. Anyhow, he does ask me some questions, just like Parker did. Let's see. My tank pH is very low. From the tap, it's 7.8. 7.8, that's not low. That's great. I think that's what ours is here in Florida. That's what ours was in Chicago. The tank is 4.8 to 5.0. I'm assuming this is from the aqua soil. Well, I use also aqua soil too. And it even said that it may lower pH, or it will lower the pH. Same thing happened to me, Todd. Exactly. Wound up with a acidic tank, and I thought the same thing as him. It was like 6.0. I thought, wow, that's pretty low. Even for discus, I'd like to be at least 6.5, or 6.8 in the acidic. But, 6.0 is pretty low. What's going on here? And it's the soil, the aqua soil. Okay, nothing to worry about. I had the same problem too. It will bring your pH down real low. One thing I did is I added, baking soda. Or you can do a water change. I had that done to a couple of my tanks where the pH became very low by using a product that would, make the pH drop. And I just added some baking soda or something like that to the tank and watched it, got it where I want. Once that soil became, I would say, exhausted, and the pH now wasn't going down so low, you'll be able to see that happening. You know, through a water change and stuff, you'll be checking your pH. You'll say, oh, my pH is no longer, 5.0 or 6.0. It's not on the acidic side. It's right where I want it. So some hobbyists will do, they'll start, if they have a planted aquarium, they'll use CO2 and they'll regulate it with a redox meter. And the redox meter, you set the redox meter, let's say you want your pH to be 6.5. So you set your redox meter to pump in CO2 and it will start dropping your pH because of the CO2. When the pH hits 6.5, the CO2 shuts off. You've got your pH now at an acidic point that you want, and you don't have to worry about it. Some people have the other problem where their pH is just too high, or they need to stabilize it to keep it higher. Oyster shells or something like that, they will put in their aquarium, or even ponds. They do the same thing with ponds to help stabilize that pH and keep it high also. So some of these aqua soils are going to do that. I even heard people, on the other hand, say kitty litter. I've had kitty litter raise their pH, and I've heard, on the other hand, some people say the kitty litter lowered their pH to make it more acidic. It just depends, I guess, on the manufacturer what the kitty litter is made out of, whether and what maybe is in there that may lower or raise the pH. Once again, I never found that to be a problem. And he does say his ammonia badge shows it's safe. Well, of course, if he has a low pH, then it's not going to be toxic to the fish. And he asked, should I artificially raise pH until the tank cycles? And I would say, yeah, I did the same thing. Also, I would recommend to him add some fritzine or some API to your aquarium. And don't be stingy on it. I think the API costs more than the fritzine. I think a bottle of fritzine I got off of Amazon. I'm pretty sure I only paid maybe $9 for a bottle of it, which treats 16 ounces, which treats like 80 gallons of water. You know what? I just used the whole bottle. $9. I'm not going to worry about it. Just dump the whole bottle in your tank to really get all that bacteria into your filter, into the gravel, into the substrate, and it cycles the tank immediately and helps stabilize your pH also. Then wait it out. I mean, today we have technology that can do that. Okay, so that's what I would do. I would maybe use some baking soda or something to raise the pH artificially. Be very careful on how much you put in. Take baby steps. I plan on keeping acidic-loving fish, including mostly South American tetras, and going to keep some crystal shrimp in there. So he would like to keep it a little more lower on the pH. And that should be no problem. So this is just something you're going to have to go through because the aqua soils do that. Same problem. Aqua soil and other plant soils say they lose their charge. This is a question. Lose their charge after a few years. You mentioned in some videos that in a plenum style tank, this shouldn't matter as nutrients will filter through the soil and recharge it because of the plenum. Does this include KH buffering properties that will keep the pH low and just the nutrients that plants need? Will I eventually lose the ability to keep the pH low via the substrate? The substrate will bring nutrients into the plants. And you're going to find that you're right. A lot of people will make mention, oh, I had an aqua soil and it doesn't seem to be any good now. There is something that I do add to my aquarium, which I've admitted to, iron. More so, I add iron than any fertilizers because my tank now is like 3 years old. The soil is more than adequately, fertile, if you want to call it that, for any plants or bacteria. And that's what I do. The pH, I don't even bother with my pH. I don't even bother checking the tank anymore because of that. It just seems to be going so good. Like I said, the only tank I've been having is the goldfish aquarium. And then I found out that the sand was so compact. That's the only reason I can think why this is not going quite right. But as far as the other tanks I have with the substrate I'm using, zero problems with them. So, in order to keep my pH stabilized, Todd, I know what my pH is coming out of the tap, like you do. If it's 7.8, I know mine's 7.8. So I'll do a water change. You keep those KH and GH because apparently if you have calcium something in your water, it's able to stabilize to keep your water at 7.8, right? So adding water to your aquarium or doing a water change just to make sure you add those stabilizers to your aquarium is an easy way to do it. However, if your pH keeps raising back up again, like I said, it looks like from the pictures you sent me, you want to have plants. So eventually, I don't know if you're using it right now, eventually you may want to go with CO2, and then you can go a little higher tech with redox CO2 and then stabilize your pH. If it keeps going up, you can stabilize it with the redox meter by saying, I want my pH to be 6.7, 6.5, and it will just pump in the CO2. CO2 will make the aquarium more acidic. And it's a very simple way. I know there'll be a lot of people who may say something different about that, but it's a very simple way of doing it by using CO2 if you have very hard water and you're trying to make it more acidic without putting all kinds of chemicals in it. Plus the CO2 is going to benefit the aquarium in the long run with your plants. So that's up to you, of course. But I haven't had a problem with my tank, and eventually you will not have a problem with yours with the aqua soil. Yes, the aqua soil does seem to run out of steam, but you should not have a problem with your aquarium with the way you set it up, because you have other things in there like the laterite and stuff like that I see that you have used in your aquarium. And I don't think you're going to have the problems that you're probably thinking of. Just remember what I said. If your pH is way too low, you're going to have to do what I did. Add some baking soda. Anyhow, that is the two aquariums I wanted to show without trying to be repetitive. I want to thank Todd, and I want to thank Parker for sending me, well, they asked questions, but Todd for sending me these photos that everybody is looking at on how to make a plenum. Like I said, I will be in the future when it cools down here in Florida, because it seems to be a very hot summer, I will redo that aquarium. I'm going to have to, if I keep that sand, I'm going to have to add a gravel to it to break up that sand, make sure it doesn't compact, or I'm going to think of something else. But I think I may change the way the plenum is being used by using like they showed in Brazil. And I think maybe a lot of people would like that because it's just cheaper and you can go to any hardware store and pick up what you need, right? It's just a little bit of time drilling holes and putting some sort of screen over it and then put your substrate on top of it. It's that simple. And the uplift tube, let's say if you're using PVC and you don't want to buy black PVC off the internet because it costs more, I'll show you how to then, if you have a pipe sticking up, you want to camouflage it, I'll tell you how to do that. It's very simple, but that won't be until about November when I'll be doing that. So anyhow, I want to thank you for watching. I hope this video has helped you a little bit with these questions and answers that I had to give for Todd and Parker. Just remember, There's no reason you have to wait 45 days or 60 days to put fish in your aquarium. Not today. You know, not in 2023. They have products out there that really will help. And I know on the bottle it may say, well, this product, you put this much in. When I made my 90-gallon, I just dumped the whole bottle in. Okay. Just got the thing started and boom, I just, you know, got the bacteria going, and that was that. I felt that the price was well worth it to get everything started, so I didn't have the wait. And if you start doing that, you're going to notice you'll start growing heterotrophic bacteria immediately. So the other bacteria that you want, nitrosomatis and nitrosporea bacteria, start growing in abundance and can start doing their thing along with your heterotrophic bacteria doing their thing and developing and growing. Like all aquariums, you do go through that initial aquarium stage when you initially set up an aquarium, where you could start having your brown algae and your silicate algae, and don't forget, they're the easiest thing to grow, and they're the biggest problem of hobbyists setting up new aquariums. So until next time, this is Dr. Novak. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and happy fish keeping.